What's up, everyone? And I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in, and turning in to Pepe La View. I appreciate it. I really and truly do. And today what I want to talk about is I want to finish talking about Angela Winbush. I did a 4-part series on her when I first started this channel. And someone left in the review, left a comment, excuse me, where is the rest of it? And so I've been meaning to get back to it, and you know, being caught up with other things and covering, you know, some of the YouTube series, I kind of got away from it. You know, I just love music. That's another reason why I wanted to, you know, create this channel, is just to talk about some of the things that I love and enjoy. And Angela Winbush is by far my favorite singer-songwriter, producer, and musician of all time. If you don't know who she is, well, go back and watch the other 5 videos that I uploaded about her career. But I will say, Ron Isley of the Isley Brothers, you know, he just recently did a versus with Earth, Wind, and Fire. She was married to Ronald Isley from 1993 to 2001. Angela Winbush was. And they had a musical partnership from 1986 all the way up into 2001 when they ended their, you know, partnership and divorce. So anywho, just to give you some idea of who she is, since I haven't posted about this in a while. So I do believe that I left off with part 5 talking about It's the Real Thing, excuse me, not the It's the Real Thing, but the Sharp CD as well as the Smooth Sailing CD. The Isley Brothers 1987 released Smooth Sailing, and Angela Winbush's 1987 Sharp. These 2 records were released, and Angela Winbush is the producer on both of these. Of course, she's the singer-songwriter and all of that stuff on this one, and the producer and arranger and composer and all of that on this CD. And for the most part, in 1987, well, let's just say she and her musical partner, Rene Moore, had split. And there was a lot of rumors in the music industry as to why they split. Now, in previous videos, I do believe that I mentioned that, of course, it was alleged by Angela Winbush that he physically assaulted her. And so that was the thing, the tipping of the iceberg, I guess you could say. It was like, okay, enough is enough. You know, so she decided that she was not going to work with Rene Moore anymore, and so it was a split in the partnership, the musical partnership. Now, I always suspected that there was a relationship between the 2 of them, but when Angela Winbush did her Unsung for VH1, I believe in 2010, she said that they never were, they started out dating, but they never, it quickly ended. So there was some form of a romance there for a brief period of time. That's what she says. But Rene Moore has always said that they never was involved. So I don't know what to make about that one. Now, I was surprised, though, that in 1988, Angela Winbush produced, I don't know if you're familiar with the singer by the name of Robert Brookins, okay? But he and Stephanie Mills did a cover tune of Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway's Where Is the Love? And Angela Winbush, to my surprise, I didn't know this, was the associate producer on that record. It was produced by, I believe, Robert Brookins and Stephanie Mills, and it was co-produced by Angela Winbush and Jeff Lober. I don't know if you know Jeff Lober. I think he's like, what instrument does Jeff Lober play? I'm not quite sure, but anyway, if you're a person of the 80s, if you grew up in the 80s, and I'm going to say maybe 1986, 1987, then you are aware of a song called Facts of Life. No, excuse me, Facts of Love. Jeff Lober is on Jeff Lober's album, and singer-songwriter Karen White, who we all know for the hit single Superwoman, she is featured on Jeff Lober's Facts of Love single. Okay, that was Karen White's first release. Anyway, so that record was produced by them, and I think it kind of hit the top 20 on the R&B charts. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was number 18. I'm just bringing this up because I was just pleasantly surprised to know that Angela Winbush was involved in that record. But also in 1988, Angela Winbush produced a song, two songs on Sheen Easton's The Lover and Me record. That record, The Lover and Me, actually went gold. I don't have it here with me, but it was a very popular record at the time. I loved it. Angela Winbush has two songs on that record. It's called Fire and Rain and Without You. Now, I recall when Angela Winbush first came out with her solo work, she mentioned that she wanted to work with Barbara Streisand. And nothing never materialized of that. I looked through Barbara Streisand's catalog, and I didn't see anything that Angela Winbush had wrote, produced, or arranged, or anything by her. But this is what I find interesting. The review for Sheen Easton's The Lover and Me says that the song Without You screams Barbara Streisand. So I'm curious to know if that song Without You was probably intended for Barbara Streisand. So anyway, so maybe she did try to work with Barbara Streisand, but you know how the music industry is and how the song selections go and how they choose producers for each product that they're about to release. It probably didn't happen. I'm also intrigued to know why she never worked with Chaka Khan again. Angela and Rene did do some work for Chaka Khan, wrote and produced for Chaka Khan when she was with Rufus. Unfortunately, those two records that they produced on, Chaka Khan was pretty much like out. You know, she wasn't there, mentally. And what I mean by mentally, Chaka Khan was focusing on her solo career. So anything she was doing for Rufus was an afterthought. And the record Camouflage, and I think a record before that one, Rene and Angela have songs on that, but unfortunately those records never took off for Rufus because Chaka Khan, was not a part of those projects as much as she should have been. I think at this time she was just pretty much focusing on fulfilling her contract with Rufus and like, okay, let me get some songs out the way with them so I can get Rufus, let there be an afterthought. Which is unfortunate because, that should have really and truly helped Angela Winbush's career as far as a songwriter and producer. But again, she did mention that she was going to work with Chaka Khan. I'm thinking now there is a record, and I'm not quite sure which record that is. If Angela released her record in 1987, the Sharp record in 1987, I think, I could be wrong, I probably should look this up and see that Chaka Khan probably released her next record in 1987. Okay, 1988. It only makes sense that she would probably do that. And I'm looking right now to see, because I do recall that, let me see. So she releases a record in 1987 called Destiny. Chaka Khan does. And coincidentally, let's see here. I don't see anything with Angela's name on it, anything like that. So it is what it is. I don't see it. Okay, and that was in 1987. So let's see. And Chaka Khan's next release would be in 1993 called The Woman I Am. And I am familiar with that record. I think that record brought, she won a Grammy. That record has a song, Love You All My Lifetime. I love You All My Lifetime. It's just an awesome record. So let's see here. Destiny. I don't know why I'm thinking she worked with the Isley Brothers. Not the Isley Brothers, but... Hold on, you guys. Just bear with me. Okay, well anyway, sorry about that. Hey, it is what it is. I don't even think I'm going to edit this part out. So she was scheduled to work with Chaka Khan. Nothing happened of it. That's just pretty much what that is. So now she is in the studio getting ready to work with the Isley Brothers again, as well as her solo effort in 1990. Here's an interesting fact that I didn't know about Angela, is that I do recall Angela having her studio. I think it was at that time called A. Winbush Productions or something like that. I have the CD, so let me see. I have the CD, A. Winbush, and I'm talking about the real thing in 1990. I think in 1990, she and Ronald ended up partnering and purchased a multi-building complex in Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard. I recall that that's probably where I had A. Winbush Productions, and probably as well as Exotic Management. I think that was the name of the management for Exotic Productions, I'm sorry, for the Isley Brothers. But here's the interesting fact. If I'm not mistaken, I think that the building that she purchased was used to be owned by Marvin Gaye. If I'm not mistaken, I think that would be correct, that she owned that building or that studio when the building that they purchased in 1990. So that was interesting that I found out about her as well. So at this moment in time, it's safe to say that Angela Winbush is really carving out a career as an in-demand singer and songwriter, especially songwriter and producer. So let's just forget about the fact that she wanted to work with Chaka Khan and didn't. And she wanted to work with Barbra Streisand and she didn't. And I think she said she wanted to work with Willie Nelson and I don't think she did. And I also think she mentioned she wanted to work with Patti LaBelle. All of these artists during the time when she released the Shock record in 1987. But here's what I find interesting about wanting to work with Patti LaBelle. She ended up working with Stephanie Mills. Now, why do I compare the two? Stephanie Mills and Patti LaBelle, both of them were on MCA Records. And it could have been that in let's just say 88 or whatever, that when Stephanie Mills was getting ready to go into the studio to record her home record, that they reached out to Angela Winbush to, produce for Stephanie Mills' next record. And it probably only made sense for them to reach out and ask Angela, not only because of the hits that she was having with herself and other artists, such as the Isley Brothers, but also too because in 1985, Stephanie Mills re-recorded I've Learned to Respect the Power of Love. And that song was written by Angela Winbush and Rene Moore. And so that probably also meant that Angela really could, handle, producing and songwriting on her own. And so it made sense. The reason why I bring up Patti LaBelle again is because Patti LaBelle was on MCA Records. And you know how it is sometimes with record companies, I just put it this way. Patti LaBelle has been known to to not record songs that eventually became hits for other artists, such as I Feel Good All Over by Stephanie Mills, which was a #1 hit for Stephanie Mills. Patti LaBelle was offered that record. She turned it down. From my understanding, Patti LaBelle was offered to record Save the Best for Last. She turned it down. Vanessa Williams ended up singing that record, and it became huge for Vanessa Williams, I believe in 1991. I think that was the year. So it's a huge record for her. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Patti LaBelle also was supposed to record Nobody's Supposed to Be Here by Deborah Cox. She turned that one down, and we know how big that record became for Deborah Cox. So all I'm saying is that it could be that Patti LaBelle was in her camp over there producing. It probably in the record company, it's probably like, well, it might be better for Angela to work with Stephanie than to work with Patti. And if you listen to Patti LaBelle's record in 1989 called Be Yourself, and if you listen to Stephanie Mills' Home record that was released in 1989, both of them sounds different production-wise. So that's just me, you know, trying to make sense of all of that, right? Now, let's talk about all of the things, and I don't know how long this video has started, but I think I know where I'm going to stop. So I'm going to give this 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to probably upload another video. So, 1990 ended up looking like it was going to be, or let's just say 1989, 1990, looked like it was going to be a very big year for Angela Winbush. Even though in 1988 she was nominated for a Soul Train Music Award for Album of the Year for her Sharp CD, and she was nominated for a Soul Train Music Award for Song of the Year, Angel. She did not win any of those awards. I always think about Rene and Angela in 1985 possibly winning some awards with the Street Called Desire CD, but unfortunately the Street Called Desire CD, which had like 5 huge hits on it, but for whatever reason they didn't get any awards, and I can't recall any black music awards being out at the time. But I just always felt that if Soul Train Music Awards was probably out in 1986, then they would probably have racked up a lot of awards. That's how I always looked at it for this record alone, because I mean this record here has been sampled by a lot of artists, and I'll probably talk about that when we go into what looks like a cooling off period for Angela Winbush as far as production wise. But a lot of artists, a lot of major artists like Notorious B.I.G. and Jay-Z and oh gosh, a lot of people have actually sampled music off of this record. So anyway, moving right along, talking about the career of Angela Winbush in 1990. Now, if I recall, because I was glued into the television set, and I was glued into BET and all of that, you know, as a child. And if I'm not mistaken, 1989, it was the latter part of 1989, Stephanie Mills, Ron Isley, and where is Stephanie Mills? I'm just, like I said, I'm just showing off my music collection. So Ron Isley and Stephanie Mills, Spend the Night by the Isley Brothers, and Something in the Way You Make Me Feel by Stephanie Mills were both written and produced and arranged by Angela Winbush. And these two battled each other for the #1 spot in the latter part of 1989. And actually, it was Stephanie Mills who became the victor in that. Something in the Way You Make Me Feel became #1 on the R&B charts. And the Isley Brothers reached #3 for Spend the Night for that record that was produced. So that was a very great year for Angela Winbush as far as producing and writing is concerned. And then as those two singles was about to, you know, kind of, you know, go down the charts after, you know, reaching some the top 5 on the R&B charts, then Angela Winbush shows up in the latter part of 1989 with It's the Real Thing, She reached number 2. Yeah, the single was number 2. If I'm not mistaken, the single was number 2 as far as spins are concerned. But the record ended up going to number 1 for sales. Okay, she and Luther Vandross, at the time, Luther Vandross had released this compilation CD, and that was the very popular song "Here and Now" that was on the charts at the time. And this song, of course, was all over the place as well. And this song reached number 1 on the R&B charts, which ended up, these two battled each other for the number 1 spot at the time. And, you know, it's just what it is. So, like I said, Angela Winbush was definitely a contender on the music charts, you know, as far as, you know, getting that exposure in battling each other artists. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because the latter part of 1990, she has a number 1 hit record with Something in the Way You Make Me Feel, a number 2 hit with It's the Real Thing, and a number 3 hit with Something in the Way You Make Me Feel. And of course, these records are definitely on the charts in 1990 as well. All right, so things look pretty much promising. As I said before, she was had purchased a building complex, the former studio of Marvin Gaye, and then she produced a record. I don't have the record with me, but it was a group by the name of Body. There were 3 sisters. I remember them. I love their version of Footsteps in the Dark. And she produced 4 singles on that record. I think the single is called Footsteps in the Dark. I think it was I think that single went to number 15 on the R&B charts. There's another song on the record called Body. Another song on there called In the Morning. And Love Me, Love Me Not. So those were the 4 singles. So Body looked like there was about to really be a group that, you know, probably had a lot of, you know, people was giving them some attention. But by the time April, and I think they came out around like April 1990 or somewhere between January and April 1990. But by that time in 1990, En Vogue came along the scene and everybody went En Vogue crazy. So any girl groups that were out at the time, we weren't paying any of those girl groups any attention after that. But Angela Winbush was definitely on the charts, you know, in 1990. So by that time, she had No More Tears was on the charts. That was a top 20 hit. She had the Isley Brothers, You'll Never Walk Alone, which was probably number 25 or 26 on the R&B charts. Then eventually she had Lay Your Troubles Down, which was a top 10 hit on the charts. And then the Isley Brothers released, I believe, a song called One of a Kind, which was like a top 40 on the R&B charts. I Bet You No More Tears, Lay Your Troubles Down, and Stephanie Mills' Body Records. So Angela Winbush was on the charts is basically what I'm trying to really get you guys to understand. So it wasn't until, I guess, maybe the latter part of 1990 when I really, even though this record for Angela Winbush went to number 1, Something in the Way You Make Me Feel, but when she produced Baby Don't Cry for Lalah Hathaway, Lalah Hathaway in the latter part of 1990 came out with Baby Don't Cry that was written, produced, and arranged by Angela Winbush. Angela Winbush also produced another song on here called I Gotta Move On. Now, what I find interesting about this CD, well, this song is, I thought this was a song that was going to put Angela on the map as far as production is concerned. Even though this record was number 18 on the charts, Baby Don't Cry, I just thought it was a great production. I really did. And then it seemed like things began to cool off for Angela. You know, 1990, you didn't hear anything from her in 1991. If she did produce any artists, I'm not familiar, even though I think his name is George Pettis. I don't know if she produced these songs for him, but I think George Pettis did some cover tunes of the Isley Brothers, I Wish, and Somebody I Used to Know. And I think Angela Winbush probably did some production as well with Ron Isley, on those records. And it's not unheard of for Angela Winbush at the time to, produce other artists by giving them material that she had produced for other artists in the past. So it wasn't kind of like unheard of. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, well, maybe that's what, happened in George Pettis' case. Anyway, now, there's something interesting. Like, when I was watching the Unsung in 2010, Angela Winbush Unsung, excuse me, I think I'm probably at a good place to stop anyway. I thought that it looked like they were kind of making it look like after she released her record, her self-titled record on Elektra Records, they had the hit single Treat You Right. It seemed like they were saying after that, it seemed like when she probably started to cater more towards Ron Isley's career from, I guess, 1995 all the way up into 2001 when the marriage cooled off. From a fan's perspective, I don't kind of see it that way. I see that she was probably catering to his career round about 1991. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to stop the video here and let you know what I think actually happened, maybe the latter part of 1990. All right.